What's up, D Money? What's up, Derek? I got this homie on today. He is from my work. I met him a while back, just pipe fitting, doing the damn thing. And he's funny as hell. Every time at lunch break, we're always losing it. We would have had this one guy on, but he's a degenerate gambler, Conrad Jr., so he's probably out somewhere pulling some slot machine. I don't know what he's doing. But yeah, he's lame, so I got my homie Derek on. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, brother. You know, we didn't really need a Polish guy on here anyway. I'm just saying, like, they're going through the shit right now.
We didn't need any dumb Polish jokes, right?
Oh, shit, dude.
What's good, though, man? I know you wanted to come on the podcast, so I'm stoked you're here. I know you got some stories, plus you're funny. So I'm sure we'll and you're smart, so we'll have some fun conversation.
Yeah, so it was we've been talking about this for a while. And then I listened to a couple of yours and I was like, wow, okay. You know, Drew's got something going on here. So, and I've always kicked around the idea with my cousins, like, hey, you know, just the way we talk and interact, it's interesting, you know? So, and then you got stuff like shows like Trailer Park Boys or Letterkenny, where you just see one-liners and interaction, and it's real funny. But then you got guys like Joe Rogan, and you see what he's doing. You're like, oh, okay, well, it could be better, you know. So that's why I was interested in coming with you, you know.
Yeah, that's the same reason I started it, dude. Not that Joe Rogan sucks or that anybody sucks, because everybody's really freaking good. Like, once you start doing it and you start understanding how a podcast works, and, like, technically it's just a conversation. So it's the easiest thing in the world if you just do it. But at the same time, like, people are looking for content. They're looking to be entertained. I know I am at work. And half the people I listen to are either comedians, and they talk about, you know, I had this gig down in, I don't know, Memphis, Tennessee at Ha Ha, and I bombed. And there's just part of me that's like, I don't relate to that. So I kind of get bored with those conversations. So yeah, dude, that's why I want to talk to blue collar guys who are just like me and have the same type of I don't know, comedy thoughts. Like, for instance, you said Trailer Park Boys, and dude, that's my favorite show. I've seen season 1 to 11 at least 4 times.
You got to check out Letterkenny.
Letterkenny?
Yeah, it's way better than Trailer Park Boys. It takes part in Ontario, Canada, and it's just like a farce on, you know, social groups. So you got the main characters, they're called Hicks, and they're just farm boys, you know, because that's what they got out there, big old farms. And so they got their group of friends. Then you got the Skids. The Skids are those gothic kids, if you remember from high school, that wore like the rave stuff and like dressed in all black, and they had the baggy pants, and they're always listening to weird music. So you got that group, and then you got all sorts of other characters in it. It's hilarious, bro. It's awesome.
Skids?
Yeah, Skids, bro.
What's it on?
So Letterkenny, it was on Amazon, but I think now it's on YouTube.
Okay, I'll check it out. I'm really into this show called Upload on Amazon right now. Have you seen it?
I think I've come across it. I haven't checked it out yet.
It's kind of a foresight to the future of, like, everybody talks about nano chips in their head, and like, so for instance, they're in the future in this series. There's 2 seasons. In the first season, this young guy, he's our age, and he is in a self-driving car playing PlayStation on his way to LA or something, and then he goes on a date with his girlfriend, and then you can tell that he can talk to the car, and it does what it's telling him to do. So he sees a truck down the road, and this car is going like 80. And he's like, slow down, car. And it doesn't slow down, and just boom. And so he gets taken to the emergency room, and he has an opportunity to possibly go through surgery and die, or since his brain's still intact, they could upload him into this. Basically, they would upload his brain into a chip that would put him into this like retirement, like paradise. It's like if you have enough money, you won't die. You'll just go into this retirement area or whatever. Like and so he does, and there's like people in it that are like, I don't know, 400 years old. Like it's a trippy show, but it's really good. It's called Upload. You'll like it. You'll like it. Just like you like Barbarian.
Oh God,
mama or baby.
This freaking guy tells me to watch this show, Barbarian. Whoever's listening, don't watch it. It's scary as hell. It's terrifying. I mean, you look at me, you could probably tell, you know, I'm a pretty tough fucking dude. Fuck that movie. That movie's scary.
Yeah. Yeah. Baby.
Yeah, oh God. But it was well written, man. It was pretty good. It was just scary as fuck. Oh God.
You came to work and you're like, dude, what?
It fucked me up, dude. I was up like trying to sleep, and I'm just like, oh my God, that was fucked up. Like, yeah.
You just saw this big old ogre with boobs in your sleep. Yeah, no, it's scary. Like when I was watching it in Kansas with my wife had already seen it in theaters. She's a scaredy cat, so I was shocked that she like brought that to the table. And the whole time she's like, you're gonna love it. And I watched it, and I was glued to this laptop. We watched it on that, and I was in the basement in Kansas, and it tripped me out a little bit.
Yeah, it's the way they set it up. It was disturbing.
Speaking of Kansas, you've been to Kansas, right?
Oh yeah, beautiful state.
You like it?
I loved it over there. Absolutely beautiful.
Where exactly did you go?
So I drove through Kansas City. I was coming back to California from the eastern part of Missouri, kind of by the Ozarks. And I was working on Home Depots. So I was traveling, doing structural steel and cabinetry and stuff. I'm a jack of all trades before I joined what we do with the steam fitters. So I drove through. I stayed in Kansas City for a couple of nights at a Drury Inn. And wow. Beautiful city. It's the Emerald City. It's straight out of Wizard of Oz. It's clean. People are nice. It's everything you would want in a community.
Talking about KC, Kansas City?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Kansas City's cool. Like Missouri's dope too. Like they have the Lake of the Ozarks. Oh yeah. Those are like I was telling my family about it. I was like, yo, one of these summers, because my dad, he would take me and my brothers to Lake of the Ozarks, and he'd get a cabin, and my buddy, the Whitneys, they had a boat, and like the water's like 75 degrees. So at night you could go skinny dipping or whatever. And it's like going in a warm bath. And one time my brother and we were tubing on the back of this inner tube, and this guy, Tyson Whitney, was whipping us around. And this guy's like, kind of like you, man. He's crazy. So just imagine me and my brother behind a boat and you're driving. This guy was trying to get us off because me and him were athletic and we held on real good, but we were crossing elbows, and his elbow kept bumping me in the chin, you know, on every little wake. And I turned to him and I'm like, hey, we shouldn't cross elbows. And then just as I said that, we hit this big wake and come down, and my elbow crushes his cheekbone it shatters this cheekbone right here. Yeah. And I get up because I was a little dazed because the wake that we hit was huge and we went flying. And he's just talking like this because his jaw's broke, his cheek is smashed in. Yeah. He's like, Andrew, help me, Andrew. And I was like, oh shoot, you know, like, so I swam over to him, and we got him, and like, dude was in so much pain that all he could do is like puke. And it took us forever to get out of the Lake of the Ozarks to get him to a hospital. Yeah. Get him some freaking like pain pills. But, you know, to go off of that story real quick, he didn't want to take the pain pills when we got back to Kansas.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they just came out with this game called Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh yeah. And so I'm sitting there playing the game, and I look over and I see Jeremy's little pain pills, and like I'm like, I heard that those kind of, give you a buzz. And so I was like, pop one in. Before I knew it, dude, I was like drooling on myself playing Red Dead Redemption.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Did pain pills ever become a thing for you in high school, or your
Same
peers?
situation, bro. My best friend, he shattered his leg dirt biking or something, and he was laid up for a while, and he had a shitload of Vicodin. So we're like, he was just sitting there buzzed on the couch watching TV, and we go hang out. He's like, dude, you guys got to try this. So next thing you know, we're fucking popping pills, dude. And then, we figure out, oh, you got to get hurt to get these. So next thing you know, we're doing dumbass, like jackass stunts and shit, fucking off after school, and then getting hurt, and then having to go to the doctors, and scoring pills. And we're like, fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, pills was my introduction to drugs. So it wasn't really like, most people start with weed and all that. No, it was pills for me. That's
Straight away.
Oh yeah, I love the opiates. That shit was bomb.
I mean, I had a guy on. He's cool as hell, and we both agree, like, drugs are awesome. That's why people, like, lose their life doing it. Yeah. And that's why people will be like, screw my teeth. Like, I love this drug. Like, I luckily didn't dabble too far into anything that, like, gripped onto me too bad, except for nicotine.
Yeah.
Nicotine's got a hold of me like a son of a gun. But yeah, exactly.
No,
but it's such a treat at work in the morning or something, and like you're just like, the day's getting started. It's just nice to put a little zen in. It used to be dip, but I mean, I quit that like 3 years ago. Luckily, I went to the dentist. I hadn't gone in like 10 years because I was scared of lip cancer. I was like, dude, I don't want to know. You know what I mean? And finally I manned up and I went to the dentist, and they're like, yeah, you're going to need a root canal here, here, and here. And I was like, oh, they're pulling my chain, dude. They're just they're like a mechanic. They're trying to get as much money out of my insurance.
Right.
So the one that was hurting, the reason I went to the dentist, that was a root canal. And so they did that. And I was like, hey man, can you check my gums and my lip for cancer? And he pulled all my lips and gums back and all that stuff, and like felt around, and I'm freaking out. You know what I mean? I avoided the dentist 10 years because I didn't want to know. And he's like, he doesn't say anything, and he just gets to work. And so I took that as I was okay. But he creeped me out. Like, and so from that day on, I went to the store and I got Zen, and I don't dip anymore, man. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it. There's no carcinogenic in this. Carcinogens. It's just nicotine, salt, and like peppermint or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I still dip. I dip, what is it, twice a day. I do it on the way to work because I show up early. I get to the parking lot around 5. So I put a dip in, and then I dip in the shower at night. That's like my little treat. It's weird though. It's weird though because I went to the dentist last year. Was the first time I went in like, I think it was 7 or 8 years, and they looked me over, and they're like, "Wow, you just got a lot of, what is that, tartar? Yeah, you got a lot of that." I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right." I'm like, "Nothing wrong with cavities?" They're like, "Couldn't find any." They did the X-rays, nothing. Like, okay, you just got to do 2 deep cleanings and just keep rushing. And I'm like, all right,
it's good genetics.
Yeah, it's weird too because, like, we were talking that one time at lunch, and we were bringing up, Scotch Irish heritage and stuff. My dad has rotten teeth, like bad. His whole family bad teeth. So I don't know what the difference is between him and me. Maybe because I always ate healthy growing up. I didn't really eat a whole lot of candy.
That's probably it.
That might be it. I don't know.
That's probably it.
Yeah.
When I think I told you this, but I'm gonna tell it again. When I met Downhill Dave,
Yeah.
he had a few teeth missing, and I was like, whatever, you know what I mean? Old timers, it is what it is. And one day he comes up to me, he's like, yeah, man, I'm going to the dentist or something. I'm like, oh, good for you, dude, good. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna go get new teeth. And I'm like, nice. I was like, you fixing those? He's like, no, these are dentures. I'm gonna go get a new set of dentures. And in my head,
Yeah, I remember.
in my head, I'm like, dude, why would you wear dentures with missing teeth?
What did you do?
Yeah, dude, that guy had a bag of candy with him at all times, and that is why he has no teeth. But
Yeah. That guy's a character.
yeah, he is a character. He came into work with his new teeth, and like his mouth was real big. You could tell he was having trouble closing it, and so he would take his dentures out every now and then and put them in water, like while he's on the cutter, and he would sing Post Malone Rockstar with no teeth in, like ah, bah, 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 bah. And I couldn't stop laughing.
You only find that in steam fitting, you know.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't find that in outside trades.
No,
Roll.
no, a little bit. So I'll focus more on you right now. I know you got a little bit of a story to tell. Everybody's got a story. You want to break down real quick, and then maybe I'll have some questions afterwards of like what you want to say about, introduce yourself, Mr. Derek. Let the people's listeners know a little bit about you, bro.
So, I'm Derek Mcgee. I grew up in Elsinore, and that's my hometown. I was born in Orange County, but parents moved out that way. And it's been a long road to get to where I'm at now. After I went to Elsinore High, and like we were talking about earlier, started fucking around with pills and shit and drugs. And I went to junior college for a little bit, real quick stint. My buddy, the one that we were talking about, he ended up, committing suicide. So after that happened, I went on a party run and just, didn't give a fuck about the world. Because I was upset. I was immature, didn't know how to deal with the emotions, and understanding as one that age, like 18 or 19, would understand, like, hey, somebody just committed suicide and somebody was really close. So it fucked me up, and me being immature and selfish, I just ran amok. So I went and had fun. And then it landed me up in prison, and that was a whole ordeal. I went to prison for some drug trafficking charges and a DUI and possession of, I had like a pound of weed. I had a Ziploc baggie full of, what was that, ecstasy? Or ecstasy?
Yeah.
Pokeballs and shit, dude. Yeah, so I got popped with that. And then did my time. I had easy time. I clicked up with the group, and everything was taken care of inside. It was real easy. It was just, boring stuff. I didn't see any riots or any weird shit like that. There were fights, but that goes along with any sort of politics, when you're in close quarters with other males, testosterone, and we got rules. So you fuck up, you break a rule, we got to check you, that sort of deal. And then I got out and went right back to drug dealing, and I was working. So I was making killer money. I was making like, what was it, $24 an hour working in a Ralph's warehouse. And I was real into smoking weed and doing pills. So next thing you know, I'm selling weed and selling pills. And then I was living in Riverside at the time, so I was out of Lake Elsinore. And then I moved back home and started reconnecting with some of my friends I kind of lost contact with. And one of my best friends from high school, he hits me up and goes, hey, bro, can you get meth? I'm like, I don't know, fucking, how much you want? He's like, well, let me get an 8-ball. I'm like, all right. So I call my homeboy, hey, let me get an 8-ball of meth. He's like, yeah, fucking, all right. So I tell him, hey, yeah, it's good. Let's go get it. He's like, well, can you get more? And I'm like, fucking, how much you want? He's like, well, I got a lot of people that want it. So, if you get an ounce, we could probably get rid of all of it. I'm like, all right. So I call him back, hey, let me get an ounce. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, all right, come through. So I go get an ounce. Next thing you know, selling meth for about a year. And it fucked up a lot of good relationships. I had a lot of close friends that I kind of messed things up with. One of the guys ended up having to give his car to me out of being in debt and shit. It was like $3,500 worth of debt. And then it ruined some dating relationships. I was hooking up with, I showed you one of the chicks that I was seeing at the time. She was a smoke show, and, she wanted to settle down, so it fucked that up, and I don't blame her. But, and then it wound me back up in county, did 3 more stints of county, and those were called, what's it called? It's a county turnaround. So they charge you on federal charges, right? Because it was breaking parole, so I violated my parole. So they send you to county, and they could send you up to prison, but because it was just a minor infraction or a misdemeanor, they charge it as a felony, but you're basically it's called a county lid. So you do a year in county. That year counts as 2 days for every 1 day in prison. So technically it's 2 years because you're on lockdown you're on lockdown like 23 hours a day. And so I did 3 of those.
Which one's worse, prison or
Fucking
county?
County's way worse.
County, you sound locked up.
You're locked up. So picture a little 8x10 cell, and you got a cellie, and you got nothing. You don't have a TV, you don't have a computer, you ain't got shit other than just sitting there chit chatting. That's it, doing push-ups and whatnot. So it was fucking lame. So after all that, I get out and I'm like, fuck drug dealing. I don't want to do this shit no more. I want to be a normal person. I want to work a 9 to 5. This is stupid. This ain't working out. So I just basically, I moved back in with my parents. Luckily they were offering to take me back in. I never stole from them or any of that bullshit, so we were always had good relationships, but they had to deal with like being raided a couple times by the police looking for me, even though I wasn't there. So, I love my parents to death and I owe them everything, so they took me back in. I was trying to find a job, Drew, for like the longest time, dude. I wrote the governor, Jerry Brown, probably 50 something times asking for expungements or whatever it's called, where they basically forgive you and like
Pardon.
Pardon. And it was a no deal. They sent me a letter saying from a lawyer saying cease and desist. I was like, what? What, really? Like, people probably write this guy all the time. Why can't I?
Right.
So they, I started realizing how the system works is being a white male, you don't got no privilege. You supposedly already have privilege. And I started realizing how fucked up the world was because I couldn't get a job because I was a felon. What the fuck am I supposed to do, Lie on applications and then get smoked. I'm an honest person, as you could tell. I'm talking to you right now. But a few months go by and I'm just like fucking hating life. Like, what the fuck? Maybe I should go back and start selling drugs again. Fucking, figure it out, whatever. And my buddy that I grew up with, Matt Nelson, he was always a real nice guy. Big fucking kid, dude. He was like over 6 feet tall. He grew up on the same side of the lake I did. And, we came from low income families, and he was always a nice guy. And I was always a friend to him. Well, I run into him at my buddy's house and he's like, fuck, dude, you want a job? I'll get you a fucking job. My brother's fucking running work on the road. We'll see what's up. I'm like, fuck, dude, I'm on probation. Like, I don't know if I'll be able to swing that. He's like, no, don't trip, dude. They'll figure it out. Another month goes by, fucking nothing. I'm like, what the fuck? And then his older brother, Mike, and Mike's like the big dog in Elsinore. I was like the OG gangster, like the guys we looked up to that were my age, because he was like 4 or 5 years older than us. Motherfucker calls me at 2 a.m. Hey, I heard you want a job, little brother. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, pack your shit. You're coming with me on the road. I'm like, well, fuck, dude, look, I'm on probation, whatever, you know. I don't know if I could, like, leave the state. He's all, no. Guy I work for, he's got it handled, dude. His whole family's fucking cops and shit. They'll take care of it. Next thing you know, I'm working on the road, bro, fucking straightening my life out and shit. I worked on the road for a little over 2 years. Been to fucking Puerto Rico, been all over the nation, Kansas, you know, all over the South. I went up the whole eastern seaboard all the way up to, Massachusetts. And it was a cool job for the time being. The pay sucked, but, you know, it allowed me to get out of debt, money I had to borrow from my parents and shit like that, you know. And then I moved back to California and
got arrested the next week. No, just kidding.
Thank God I didn't. No, so I moved back to California and I'm hanging out with my uncle. He's an old gangster out of Huntington Beach, and he changed his life around, and I always looked up to that, you know, and was like, fuck, man, like, what am I going to do? And he's like, hey, they're working on the Hilton down the street off Main Street. Go over there and see if you can get a job. So I fucking go over there, and I just started going to the job trailers and applying. Next, you know, I'm hired doing mechanical. So I was like, all right, cool. This is what's up. I kind of like this, you know, pipe fitting. And we do that whole building, and comes out and he starts talking to us because we weren't union. And he's like, hey, what the fuck? You know, like, where are you guys getting paid? I'm like, fuck, dude, $24 an hour. He's like, fuck, dude. He's like, you're doing journeyman work, dude. You're getting ripped off. He's like, you know how much a journeyman makes in the union? I'm like, what? He's like, 50. I'm like, really? All right. I'm like, okay. So I got his number. I didn't go apply right away. I ended up getting laid off, and then I got another job in mechanical where I was running some work, but I was only making like $35 an hour, and then the ship has sailed, dude, and fucking easy fucking sailing.
And here we are.
Yeah, and here we are.
We are.
I learned a shitload from you about fitting. Just the time we spent together on because I didn't know shit about steel fit-ups. But when I fucked with you and Piper, that brought my game up a level, and that's why, like, through the apprenticeship, I was always favored because I knew more than all the other apprentices I worked with, you know, especially fucking dipshit Conrad.
Yup. He's not here to protect his name right now.
Yeah, so we'll just shit on
Rose City. Yeah, I never really talk about work. I don't try to like mention anything for me because I'm a little political on here, and it just seems like, I don't know, it's just sketchy. But no, I enjoy what we do. Like today, I made like a 39.8 degree miter fitting, and it came out after I sliced it. It came out 39 or 50.1, which was whatever. It was 39 point whatever. It was on the money, and I enjoy it, dude. I just I enjoy building stuff like that. I feel bad for people who have an office job, or you know, they don't really see their work. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're done with this, with the chiller room, or with I don't know, any project that you do, and you can step back and look at it and see the beauty in it. It's kind of cool. You sit back and you're like, man, I put an honest day's work in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But what people don't understand with what we do is if you look at it like a medical sense, you got veins in your body, and those veins pump blood to your muscles, to your brain, to your organs. This is what makes you function. Whereas for us, we build the veins of buildings, the veins of process plants, the veins of anything and everything. And it's so important what we do that honestly we're underpaid. But that's another subject. But we do a lot for the community, and you can see it walking down the street every single day. You're like, wow, if people took the time out to really understand what we do, they'd be like, wow, what this is important. How can we appreciate this more? Like,
yeah, it all gets covered up too. You know what I mean? Like, none of it stays exposed, but which can be a good thing if you got a terrible,
especially my welds.
But no, yeah, you have a cool story, Derek. Like, you have a road to redemption story, and I respect it, and I'm happy that you're clean, and I know you're all about working out now. You're trying to get Jack City, and you are Jack City. I'm back to working out because I started working with you again. Like, I'm in the gym and all that stuff. But no, I just want to say I respect that you got yourself out of the gutter. Some people don't, some people stay in that rut, and then they could really lose themselves. And like, I kind of, not trying to, talk bad on anybody who's fallen short to drug addictions and all that, but like, it takes a strong mind to get out of it. And it takes some punishment, and it sounds like county and prison was enough punishment. You know what I mean?
Honestly, it wasn't. It was just
I'd go back.
Backtracking, right? So the last county lid I did, I'm sitting there and I'm sitting inside. I got this fucking J-Cat. A J-Cat is a fucking homeless person with some mental fucking issues, right? And he's my cellie, and I'm like, man, fuck this guy. He's just fucking running his mouth saying all this bullshit. And I'm like, how am I being lumped in with this piece of shit? Like, what the fuck did I do? So I'm thinking about it, I'm like, fuck, dude, I started going to college, like, I'm not a dumbass. I passed my classes. I was really good at math. Maybe I should change things and fucking try to apply myself like my parents told me to, and hope for the best, and if it don't work out, at least I tried. But you could understand it from a competitive point of view, like with sports. You don't fucking give up. You play to the very last fucking timeout, what have you, very last inning. There ain't no quit. You go hard all the way. If you don't, you're a fucking loser. So that's where I changed my whole outlook on it. And I started seeing all these people had excuses for what they did. I didn't have an excuse. My parents were fucking great people. I was raised in a low income family, but fucking they took care of us. You know what I mean? Like, I had no excuse to be doing the shit that these other people were doing. And I was like, I felt ashamed that I was doing that. And then I realized, you know what? That's feeling bad for yourself. That's wrong too. I'm going to get rid of this weakness and fucking be strong. So
Victim mentality.
Yeah. So I'm going to strengthen my mental capabilities. I'm going to go after things and start, progressing, because really, if you look at human nature, we are progressors. We've come from cavemen to where we're at now. Why would I stray off the path from doing what comes natural to us, And that's where a lot of people don't understand that. Like, yeah, you could give yourself to drugs, but you're doing exactly the opposite of your nature. It's stupid. It's stupidity.
Yeah. It's, coming from Kansas can be boring. It can be like, you got nothing else to do except for something like that. And it's an escape and all that stuff, which kind of scares me to veer off the subject. But, we have this stuff coming out. What is it called? The metaverse.
Yeah.
You got the metaverse coming out, and I guarantee that's going to be a drug, because
it's the same thing.
The first time I ever wore a VR goggle was last Christmas. My cousin and her girlfriend came over. and they had one, and I was knocking it. I was like, who? Like, I kept hearing, yeah, the metaverse. People are going to be chilling in it. You're going to go home, put it on, and then you're going to go inside this metaverse, and then you're going to say what's up to Derek. He's going to be chilling in his house in Temecula. I'm going to be over in Newport, but we're going to be together in the metaverse. I was like, that sounds stupid. That sounds gay. And then and then I put on these VR goggles, and I started looking around, and I was in this beautiful jungle. And there was there was a sun setting, a beautiful sunset setting over this mountain ridge, palm trees everywhere, and I could walk like with my joysticks or whatever. And so I'm like walking, I'm in this thing for like 10 minutes, and then I pop off the headset, and I'm in this very bland apartment, and I was like, no. Putting it back on. So I get it. And like, so imagine being in Kansas in the next 10 years, and it's a cold winter's day, minus 10 degree wind chill, everything's dead outside, clouds are overhead, but you got the metaverse. People are going to be plugged into that thing, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, that's technology. It's like that show you're talking about, Upload. That it sounds like it comes from one of those ideas that were on that show Futurama. There's an episode of Futurama where the old man, that's Fry's uncle or whatever, nephew, whatever the hell he is, he hits that age of like 160 years old. So what they do is they plug him into like a matrix. So his body's still alive, but he's plugged into like this fucking old folks retirement home. And they have to go save him and whatever. But that's the same concept about what's going on is, you know, you're giving up on life to go fucking do this, which that's not real, but it looks real. It feels real, you know, but it's not. And that's where I think technology's, it's good and bad, you know, so you got to respect it and know what it is. And, you know, people, I feel like people need to revert back a little bit, because I read a lot, and reading strengthens your mind. I learned that in prison. That's all I really did was read and work out. And
didn't you read the Game of Thrones?
No, I'm reading that right now. I'm reading, was it Fire and Blood? It's kind of a shitty book. That's the one where it starts with Aegon. The guy wrote it really bad. It seemed like he was just trying to slap the story together, and it's just like, oh, and then this person pops in, and then this happened, and then this happened. It's like an ongoing run-on sentence where it's just like, it doesn't fucking maybe have a little deeper into these characters. You know what I mean? Like, give it a story. Like,
get some storytelling going.
But I heard the actual books, Game of Thrones, were badass, just like the movie. I heard they were better. I didn't get a chance to read them while I was locked up because fucking somebody always had them, you know, and you had to pay to get them. I didn't fucking have no commissary or any money, so I couldn't get them. It's kind of bummed out. But I read Harry Potter, bro, and I'll tell you, that fucking Harry Potter, bro, he's a man, dude. No.
Yeah, No, I dove into Harry Potter. I never read them, but the movies are awesome.
Dude, the books are pretty fucking good, dude. They're happy books. It's a pretty good read.
If I was in prison and I was reading Harry Potter, that probably would be like a good escape.
It is, yeah. Any sort of like fantasy, but that's like sci-fi. That's what sci-fi was for. It's like it's an escape. You know, it's all started with what was that? Twilight Zone. You know, and then
the TV show.
Yeah, and then now we had X-Files growing up. I don't know if you watch that, but I was really into that.
Every now and then I'd watch one.
Yeah, you gotta watch what fucking Scully's doing, you know? Fucking hot redhead.
You got a thing for redheads, huh?
Yeah, I do. That's bad.
So, all right, so let's think about this metaverse thing. So you're telling me, you're like, you know, we got to revert back. You know, you've read in prison, you strengthen your mind. But when they got the bodysuit and the metaverse, and you can knock on a strip club, and pay whatever and go in,
it's gonna fuck a lot of people up, dude.
I know. Yeah. I know. I think it's cool to think about, like, being able to be in this vast world or whatever, and choosing to go do something like when you're bored. I'm pretty sure I have ADHD, like, or whatever, where you're just like constantly needing to do something, like play the ukulele or something, you know.
Yeah. But see,
I have
that's a
ADD,
good
you know.
outlet. That's
No,
a
for
good
sure.
outlet.
For sure. My mom thinks that I healed my brain because of music. Like, because I was always hitting my head hard in football.
Yeah.
And I remember many times having a concussion, like being like, boom, and then seeing like white stars. And, you know, everything goes white from the hit. And you're just
Yeah.
like, whoa. And it all comes back. And then, hey, I'm in the next play. But, like, I have ADHD bad, clearly. And, so I just think the metaverse would be awesome for my ADHD. Like, throw that thing on and go. But I'm worried about it though, for my little girl, for kids in general, man. You should see what she goes, Pad. She wants the iPad, you know? Like, she's already, and she can scroll on kids' YouTube and find what she wants to watch. And
Yeah.
I'm like, she's not even 2.
And see, that's where the whole thing with, like, let's go into politics real quick. Now say somebody gets a hold of that or control of the programming, and they could subliminally, you know, send messages without you realizing it and programming you, and, you know,
You
basically.
mean like MK Ultra?
Yeah, it's the same thing, dude. They're already doing it now with television. You look at the ads, and you can totally see it. So it would be worse for metaverse because now you're inside. You're connected. They got you. Whatever they want to throw at you, that's it. Like, and you're absorbing it because you're putting your senses into it. You know what I mean? Whereas, like, say you're watching TV, your senses are still yours. You're just kind of zonking out, you know, you're just
Zombie out, yeah.
But like with the metaverse, you're participating, so your senses are heightened. You're more engaged. So subliminal messages and that type of deal, that will mess up humanity. It's already going on with fucking, like I said, the TV ads and shit like that.
Cultural Marxism is real, and
Yeah.
that is rampant right now, and I think it's retarded. I think Kanye West going on Alex Jones is all of it's retarded. Like,
Yeah.
I don't find any of it, like, I feel like it's all just distractions.
And it's fueling a fire that shouldn't be fueled.
Yeah, dude, it's a stupid
know?
fire. Let's
Yeah.
talk. Like, I love the idea of like I wish, you know, how cool would it have been back in the 1800s? I know there was some shit going down, but to stake a piece of land and be like, I'm going to build my house here. And it's by trees. And then you go cut down the trees and you start building your house. I know you don't have a toilet. You got an outhouse. You don't have all the amenities and all the conveniences of today's society. But when everything's taken care of, all of a sudden, all that there's left to do is bitch. And that's what we're seeing now in 2022. And the more we dive into the metaverse and the more we get into this stuff, people will have nothing to bitch about because, they'll have everything to bitch about. But in general, like, you know what I mean? Like, they'll have their, who knows, like, maybe houses will be like super legit in 20 years. Like, and I don't know how society will work, if it'll lean more towards socialism at some point because of this World Economic Forum, to where everybody gets a piece of the pie, so everybody's comfortable and all they can do is be controlled.
Well,
you know what I mean?
We reverted to a socialist, capitalist economy and policy, basically, in the United States during the Clinton administration, you know, with NAFTA and everything, and then the trade agreements with Mexico, and then outsourcing to China and Jamaica and all that for manufacturing goods. So we already took that step, and it's called complementary goods. And the philosophy behind it is one country can make a certain good better than another country. So they should focus on that good and gain their wealth from that. And then another country, they're going to trade them with their good that they're good at making, and back and forth. And then we're all going to come together. That's a socialist program right there. because that's where the trade comes into play, the free trade. Oh, well, now the value of your product is going to be the same as ours, blah, blah, blah. But see, that's where the capitalism stayed, because it didn't happen that way like they wanted it to. They thought, okay, we'll get Haynes will go over to Jamaica or whatever, what have you, the Bahamas, whatever island it is that they're screwing, and they'll manufacture all their Fruit of the Loom and underwear and everything and all that, and they'll trade that worldwide, and it'll bring their value up, their currency, their monetary system, and therefore bring up their society. Well, it didn't happen because all they did was trade with us, and we paid them fucking pennies. You know what I mean? Nobody else wanted to buy that shit. So there's the dilemma with that. But with China jumped on it. They went full bore. Let's go. Here we go. We're going to manufacture everything. And then taking over that big of a market. So now you're taking away from this country, this country, this country, this country, and it's all you. Well, now you're America because you have all the abilities to produce everything. Whereas America was trying to be the big brother and be like, hey, yeah, we're good at producing everything, but we'll send it to you guys and, take a step back, and then you guys produce it and then come up, along with the rest of the world, But that's not what happened. And it's sad to say, but like in Europe, they're full-blown socialist. The euro, and the whole Brexit thing, that's why Brexit happened, was because England didn't want socialism. They already have it kind of hard over there with socialism, with the parliament and all that, where it's basically a two-caste system where you got the rich and then you got the lower middle class, which is kind of what's going on here in America. And you look at politics today, and that's what this far left is trying to do, is it's trying to do what England did and push all this control onto its people. And then it screws up the economy to where it becomes socialist, but then there's a two-class system. So we get rid of the three classes, which it's already happening, and it becomes the super rich, the fundamentally rich, and then you got lower middle class. And it sucks that it's going this way because it takes away from the American dream. It takes away from what our forefathers had in mind for the country. And a lot of people think, oh, well, that's white privilege. They were all white men trying to make a shitload of money, blah, blah, blah. Bullshit, dude. There were plenty of blacks who owned slaves, had property. There's Italians, Spaniards. There were even Asians in America during that time. This was the land of opportunity. And they're straying away from that. They're trying to take that opportunity away from you and control you. That way, their political agenda brings them up. If you look at Hitler literally did that. So it's sad to see the way things going this way,
Yeah, yeah. I still believe in the American dream, and I still believe in and what I mean by American dream is the freedoms. I still believe in it. I don't know how much a vote really matters. And I say that lightly, but what I'm trying to say is that they've definitely hijacked some stuff, and it seems like they're taking away from the only thing that a person has, an American has. Did you know that in Iraq, when we went to Iraq, the voting extremities over there, how voting works in Iraq?
No.
Retinal scans. You gotta put your retinal scan in, boom, then you can put your vote in. We're bitching about IDs in America, and it's just funny. In Ukraine, it's a 1-day vote. Everybody goes in and votes, just like we used to do. Now you got these mail-in votes, and it's so comical how set up it is, and especially in Arizona, that's the most comical place. It's I want to say what I want to say, but I can't because they'll probably take it down off YouTube because that's the censorship world we live in now. But it is so jacked. And like me standing back looking in, I'm not going to give up. I'm still going to go vote. I'm still going to do my part. And I feel like a lot of, you know, Democrats and Republicans feel like possibly their vote doesn't matter. But I think at the end of the day, that's what they want you to think. So still go and vote.
Yeah.
But I wish we had a vote for what is this guy that we traded Brittany Griner for?
Oh,
what's his name?
His name was
the war god.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me look up his name.
I was just listening to the story on AM 640.
Yeah, they call him. I'm an idiot, and I wish I knew this off the top of my head. Victor Bout.
That's it, Victor Bout.
And yeah,
He's the Lord of War.
The Lord of War, man.
Yeah.
On the 2nd of November 2011, Bout was convicted by a jury in Manhattan of federal court of conspiracy to kill U.S. citizens and officials, delivery of anti-aircraft missiles, and providing aid to terrorist organizations. He was sentenced to a minimum of 25 years imprisonment because of the crime was due to the sting operation. Yeah. I mean, like, I get on this podcast and I tell myself, you know what, I can bring up relevant stuff and I can talk about it because it is relevant. Or I could just swerve away and BS. Like,
Yeah.
for some odd reason, I always still get swerved into this. Everybody who I talk to, we end up talking about how weird it is, like, in America right now. And
So,
yeah.
to elaborate, because I did a lot of thought on this even earlier today when we were at work. So, this was an entire ploy by Russia. If you really look at it, Russia loves Brittany Griner. They've invited her multiple times to playoff seasons in Russia. You can't tell me this is her first time going there with a weed pen or whatever it was, and then all of a sudden she gets popped. No. This happens to happen right around the time Russia's invading Ukraine. Okay, so they invade Ukraine and Brittany Griner gets popped. They sentence her to 9 years. And then everybody hates Russia. They impose all these sanctions, blah, 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 blah. What's really going on? Why all of a sudden now we're going to trade one of the world's most wanted men for Brittany Griner, a basketball player who effed up and, you know, she dug her own hole. And we're going to trade a guy that's potentially a part of mass genocide for some basketball player. No, there's more. There's something else going on there. You can't a president's not going to just play off the emotions of his political party over something so serious. And then you look back at what happened with, you know, the Russian collusion with it was supposedly with the Republican Party during, you know, the candidacy. Turns out it wasn't, and it was proven that it was actually with the Democrat Party. So what's really going on, you know? And then how come everybody seems to forget that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden own companies in Ukraine? Wouldn't you try to fight a little bit harder to protect Ukraine or something? Like, there's so many issues at stake with this whole thing that it's just like, for us, the American people, we'll never know because this is how it is in a totalitarian state, and that's the way they're treating it right now. Is it's total control of policy, and this is a policy that should be determined by the American people, and we're
robbed of that.
Yeah, we're robbed.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and there's like a Marine that's in prison in Russia. We could have like tried to get him out.
yeah, a guy who served time in the military, God knows doing what, probably some shit because he was a Marine. Marines, they're front line. They're badasses, whether it's doing a simple job or being in combat. Those guys, they served. I respect the military. I wish I would have done the military. And for us to go and trade for some POS basketball player who doesn't even, she said she hates America and that we're not woke enough and this and that, and we need to be more inclusive. How much more inclusive can your country get than giving you almost absolute freedom? And you're going to still talk bad about your country, and then this happens now, oh, woe is me, please help me, America. No, F you. We need to be helping the guy that did his time for America, who put his life on the line voluntarily. It makes no sense. It doesn't add up.
Well, it's the clown town we live in, dog. That's why I'm saying, like, I'm almost like at a point where I just throw my hands up in the air. Yeah, I talk about it on here, and yeah, people listen. But like, I just grab my popcorn now. My buddy told me when Biden got elected, he's like, "Grab your popcorn, man. It's gonna be a show the next 4 years. It's a circus, dude." At the end of the day, I don't get too caught up on the right side either. I know I'd rather have that, but like, both right and left, it's two wings of the same bird. One side is retarded, and the other side, well, I don't know. Now I'm curious to see how it swings. It's all a pendulum. It goes this way and then it swings back. Yeah, and then it just seems to be a pattern like that. And I'm curious, whether it's DeSantis, Ron Paul, or Trump. I don't know how it's going to swing, but it's all become a big WWE wrestling match. I don't know if you've noticed that.
I agree. I agree.
Like, it's to the point now where it's just a show. And I had a guy on New York Patriot talking about, he was talking about the occult. And dude, it's almost as if you could dive down these rabbit holes and just get totally lost. Like, since I've been doing this podcast, I've diving down a lot of rabbit holes, flat earth, the moon landing, all that kind of stuff. My wife showed me a video last night, and it's the worst thing I've ever seen. This dad, he was all caught up in QAnon, and he thought his wife was a lizard person, and so he killed both his kids because they were going to be monsters. Story. Yeah, it was in like whatever that city south of us. It's on the coastline though, but it was here in California. Fucking psychopath. Yeah. So you can clearly lose your head, and I'm not there at all, but I won't be, first of all, but like I just look at stuff that's fun. Like, did we land on the moon? No, I don't think so. and then is the Earth flat? I would lean towards no, it's not, but at the same time, I've never been to space. Have you been to space, Derek?
No, but I've been 20,000 feet above the planet, and you could kind of see the roundness.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I can't knock a person who thinks it's flat, because I'm like, dude, I've never been to space. Have you been to space? No. Yeah. And from what I'm learning, the history of NASA is ran by Nazis, so it's like, I don't think I'll believe them either. So
touching on that subject, so here's where you can find proof, and it's actually just through math. If you ever take calculus 1, 2, or 3, you literally understand why the Earth would be round, because it's actually like mathematically correct that it would be round. If you take measurements from here, and then you do an equation on it, you could do it like the circle equation. The circle equation, it's a complicated equation, but it'll give you the actual length, basically a circumference like on pipe, of how to do this circle, how to actually build a circle. And it adds up and makes sense. It's perfect. So then you could dive into deeper stuff like vortexes, and vortexes are equations that it's like X, Y, and Z problems. And you're like, okay, well, what's this? Why is this? And if you have a good teacher, he'll explain to you why a vortex dips in and what it's doing. And it's because of a gravitational pull, because of this and this and this. So higher understanding of the math and the sciences, even the little bit of like higher math that we do in our trade, you kind of figure it out that like, oh, okay, that does make sense. It's like you put like a 40-foot piece of pipe on the ground, Drew, and you have your little test tee in the middle, and you pour a little bit of water in it. You're going to notice that it's going to run down both ends if the world is round. So it's just one of those weird things. Say you got like a flat surface. So they just graded a property, and you put a 40 or 60 foot length piece of pipe on it. You put a test tee directly in the middle, and then you put water in it. It's going to flow both directions. It's not going to go one way or the other if it's perfectly flat. Why is that? It's because the earth is round and it's causing gravity to push. Gravity pushes like this. Once it hits a surface, it goes this way. It goes out. It doesn't just keep pushing in. So if you add a substance in it, it's going to come down. And once it hits flat, it's got to go somewhere. Why would it go both directions if the earth wasn't round? Because if you're hitting a round object, it's going to go around it. See what I'm saying?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so
that's if you believe in gravity.
What is gravity, brother?
Yeah. I mean, I blow a dandelion and they just float away.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding. Is that the right plant, a dandelion?
Yeah, dandelions.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that you blow. They're white and they're like cottony looking.
Yeah, what a great way to spread your seed.
Oh, yeah. I've spread my seed all over fucking SoCal.
Just call Derek the dandelion.
I'm a dandelion, dude. I got tattooed on my neck.
I'm going to come into work here in 2 weeks and you're just going to have this big dandelion on your neck.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, bro.
Yep. Uh-huh.
But, yeah, with the way the world's going, dude, it's just... It's honestly getting to the point where there's so much confusion about anything and everything that what is right from wrong. And that's where... For me, I just go back to my values and what I've learned and what I know. And I just stick with that. Because I'm a Democrat, bro. I'm a full-blown Democrat. I'm a union guy. And I believe in workers' rights. I believe in freedom. I believe we should own guns. Hell yeah. But I don't believe we should have open borders. I think that's a mistake, especially when the main problem in America is drugs, and where do the drugs come from? They come from the illegals down south. So why would we keep them open and just keep flooding our streets with drugs, hurting our population? It's kind of sickening, and it makes me think that maybe like maybe California's politicians are bought off by cartel. And that's kind of another thing I was debating today, because I heard on the news that they're trying to pass this bill where if you're an illegal immigrant and you get picked up on, a crime, that they're not going to prosecute you. They're going to just give you a ticket and let you be on your way. So if you do a felony, they're going to give you an infraction ticket with a fine and send you on your way. Also, that they don't get picked, because if it's an illegal immigrant and you go to court, well, they have to report it to the feds. And then the feds are going to come and he'll serve out his sentence, whatever happens with the trial or plea deal. And then after that, you have to go to the feds, and the feds take you and deport you. Why are we passing stuff like that? Why would we pass, like, I'm all for immigration. Like, people want to make a better life. I can't knock that. Some of the hardest workers I know are illegals, But if you're bringing drugs and crime into my community, I don't want you there. And I'm sure the normal illegals don't want you there either. They're trying to get away from that. So why are you going to pass a law to encourage criminal activity on the criminals who are elite or illegal immigrants? So now it's like, well, why not get into the cartel and, start selling drugs and shit like that? A lot has changed since when I got in trouble for, all the shit I did, because when I got in trouble, it was like 3-strike rule. I got a strike. So say I got another strike, which my last county stint, I had to fight that for almost 2 years because they were trying to give me 5 to 10 over it. And then now all these laws, they make it to where I wouldn't have even done a day. And it's like, what's really going on? Why are these politicians passing this kind of deal? What's behind this? Who's scratching their back and getting this through? Kind of makes you wonder.
Yeah, no joke. Do you know the president from El Salvador?
No. I think somebody was talking about that today at work.
His name's like Nayib Bukele or Bukele or something. I don't know. I was told about him probably like 3 months ago. They were like, yeah, look up videos of this guy. He doesn't play around. Like, he basically says, if you're a gangbanger, we'll kill you. Like, being in a gang, it means death.
Good
so
for him.
You might want to stop being in a gang. And he cleaned the streets of El Salvador up. He's calling out the World Economic Forum. He's been to the WEF, and he like stood up for El Salvador. And anyways, he's just he's a stud. But he wrote on a tweet, he's like, the most powerful country in the world is falling so fast. That it makes you rethink what are the real reasons. Something so big and powerful can't be destroyed so quickly unless the enemy comes from within.
Exactly.
And he's a very smart cat, and I'm gonna listen to him because I think he's right. But then we fall back to the whole, what do we do about it? Oh, we could vote. That's what we got. We got our vote. Well, either that or the majority of this country is fucking retarded.
No, it's bro. You look at what's going on right now with the elections that just happened in the city of LA. They did a recall on George Gaston, so they signed petitions to get this on the ballot to recall him. He's the DA for LA County, and he's the guy that's basically doing the no bail. So you're just kicked out the same day once you come in. Whatever the charge is, fucking murder, what have you.
Jeez.
And anyway, so people went out and had people signing petitions, registered voters, to get it on the ballot for this guy to be recalled. Well, they only had to gather like 500,000 or something like that. They gathered 750,000 signatures, and then it has to go to the county register, and the register, of course, he's a Democrat. It's all one-party politics here in California, and they say that it's like usually about a 12% gets kicked out for it's not registered in LA County, his signatures bogus, what have you, multiple signatures, whatnot. No, the dude kicked out 250,000 of those signatures to where it was like just shy of getting on the ballot. And now the district attorney's office, a bunch of deputies, district attorneys, are trying to investigate this, because they all pushed the initiative. So they're over there, they're allowed 3 times a week for 6 hours to go through the information that the register has, but they are not allowed to access their computers or technology. They have to do it all on pencil and paper. And now they're taking it to the Supreme Court to get this, pushed through to hey, you got to release this information. And they've already found flaws in stuff that this guy's kicked out. It's like tens of thousands of stuff that, shouldn't have been kicked out. And the guy's basically trying to drag his feet on helping these people. And it just shows you that the corruption is so deep that there's no way around it. So going back to what we're talking about, does your vote count? As far as California, no. Only in counties are actually red, it does count, because they don't care about what goes on. Like in my county, Riverside County, they don't give a shit what's going on. It's LA, that's blue. And it's all the big cities basically, because they're tied in with Sacramento and they get funding. And then Sacramento will pull funding from the federal government and kick back down to them, and so on and so forth, especially now that we got Biden as president and then Kamala up there.
Derek, I'm going to roll. I got to get something to eat. I'm starving. But
cool, brother.
I have a question I ask everybody. What is a memorable quote that you have in your head that you say to yourself every now and then that's stuck with you for a long time?
I will tell you, because I'm getting it tattooed on my neck. It is.
Where are you getting it? Right here?
I'm getting it right here. So this quote is by Robert Matthews. You could look him up. I'm not going to go into it because it's a real testy subject.
Okay.
The quote is, "Defeat never, victory forever."
I can see her lying back in her satin dress, in a room where you do what you don't confess. Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping round my back stairs. Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping round my back stairs. She's been looking like a queen in a sailor's dream, and she don't always say what she really means. Sometimes I think it's a shame when I get feeling better when I'm feeling no pain. Sometimes I think it's a shame when I get feeling better when I'm feeling no pain. I can picture every move that a man could make. Getting lost in her loving is your first mistake. Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping round my back stairs. Sometimes I think it's a sin when I feel like I'm winning when I'm losing again.